So you remember when I said MTV Classic wasn't the first attempt for Viacom to capitalize off nostalgia? Well, this was their first attempt. The Splat. Formerly, the 90s Are All That. This was Viacom's first big attempt to capitalize on nostalgic programming from Nickelodeon. The idea had so much promise. Unfortunately, a couple knuckle-headed decisions that were made regarding the block caused it to struggle from the moment it began. Even when the block rebranded as the Splat, some of the problems still existed. For now, let's focus on the history of the block when it was The 90s Are All That. The 90s Are All That launched on July 25, 2011 as a block on TeenNick. The block ran weeknights at 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern Time from launch until October 6, 2011. The day after, it was pushed back 2 hours, going from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time, until October 23, 2011, when the schedule went back to the original time. But hey, they could give us small doses of what Nickelodeon had day by day, right? Nope! Instead, we only get a few shows that ran every single weeknight. All That, Kenan and Kel, Clarissa Explains It All, and Doug, from what I remember, were the first shows to be aired on the block. It was those same shows every night. The problem? They got overused so much people became tired of them. Occasionally, they would break from their standard to air other shows, but the schedule stayed the same for the most part throughout the block's lifespan, with certain programs being swapped out in between. This meant other programming aired only on special occasions. Supposedly, some programs couldn't air because either problems with securing the broadcast rights or not enough episodes. The problem, while they were common when the block started out, they wouldn't appear for several months at a time. Thus, the same shows reran over and over again. Even when they switched out the default shows for other shows, they would still run them into the ground. I have no idea why they chose this format. All this does is give them an incentive to stick with the same shows, thinking people will eat it up. While everyone did tune in during the special times where they would air other shows, they would avoid the main airing time like the plague because of how repetitive things would get. Some of the special events were pretty cool. Halloween Weekend 2011 aired the controversial made-for-TV movie Crybaby Lane. This was a pretty big deal as the movie was only aired once in 2000, then never aired again, supposedly due to the controversy involving several complaints from parents who claimed the film was too frightening and inappropriate for children. The other one, that originally got me hooked on the block, was Party Like It's the 90s, where they had aired a lot of SNCC programming from 1995 to 1999. They also aired regular-length series finales of The Secret World of Alex Mack, Kenan and Kel, Clarissa Explains It All, and Doug. The premiere episodes of the series then aired to celebrate the new year. Notable 2012 events include Styx Sham Rockin' Weekend, where Salute Your Shorts aired via U-Pick Showdown. They also had KCA Back in the Day, in which during commercial breaks, they aired archive clips of past Kids' Choice Awards shows from the 90s. They also aired Figure It Out, Family Double Dare, and Legends of the Hidden Temple to coincide with the 2012 Summer Olympics on the weekend of August 3rd. By the way, that was the first event in over 4 months of nothingness. Yeah. Notable 2013 events include April Fool's Day, where they advertised the debut of a long-lost episode of Rocko's Modern Life. It was actually a still image of mayonnaise for a whole 30 minutes, a reference to Wacky Deli, in which the producers of the show within a show, Wacky Deli, deliberately air such an episode in a failed attempt to sabotage the series. The weekend of June 3rd to 6th was branded Summer Blockbusters. This event aired television movies including Rugrats, Runaway Reptar, Kenan and Kel, Two Heads Are Better Than None, Cat Dog, The Great Parent Mystery, and Kenan and Kel, Here It Goes to Hollywood. August 3rd aired a 1-hour marathon of Legends of the Hidden Temple after winning the 90s Nick Facebook Face-Off. From August 5th to August 8th, 2013, 90s Greatest Game Show Moments aired. This featured game show episodes every night and special moments. The block aired Family Double Dare, Global Guts, Figure It Out, and Legends of the Hidden Temple. On August 17, 2013, the block celebrated the 21st anniversary of SNCC by airing Clarissa Explains It All, Ren and Stimpy, All That, and Are You Afraid of the Dark? All but All That were aired during the inaugural SNCC lineup. All That appeared in place of Roundhouse, which Nickelodeon lost the rights to shortly after it aired. Roundhouse later came back on the Splat, by the way. September 23rd, 2013 to September 26, 2013. The 90s are all cat. Special cat episodes aired. And that should have been the end of it. But no, they aired special catified episodes. It wasn't funny. It wasn't clever. It was dumb. As if things couldn't get any worse, November 8th, 2013 to November 11th, 2013. Mighty Morphin Weekend. A whole weekend dedicated to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. A series that did not air on Nickelodeon! Why? Why did this happen? What were they thinking? 2014 was not very memorable. Aside from an anniversary marathon of Rocket Power, which was already added to the lineup on June 7th, and an anniversary marathon of Hey Dude, which had aired numerous times on the block, even getting a regular slot at one point, nothing else was interesting. It's like those events I mentioned in 2013 that were terrible hurt the block. Oh wait, it did. 2015, only 2 events happened. A marathon of Rugrats episodes centered on Chucky in response to the death of Christine Cavanaugh, the voice actress who voiced Chucky. The last event that aired before the block rebranded as the Splat was Out of the Vault. Specials that aired included an April Fool's Day episode of The Wild Thornberrys, Keenan and Kel, and All That, as well as the 2-part Rugrats TV special, Runaway Reptar, Keenan and Kel's 2 Heads Are Better Than None TV movie, and Crybaby Lane, all which aired previously. Yeah, you can tell the block was on its last legs. The only good thing that happened during this event was the airing of Wienerville. That was the first time in 18 years that Wienerville had been aired. On September 11th, 2015, the block's Facebook page announced a new program block called the Splat. It was later confirmed that beginning October 5th, 2015, the 90s Are All That would rebrand as the Splat and expand to 8 hours. The same general format and programming library is being used, with less repetition of series, whereas the 90s Are All That aired most of its shows 5 days a week. The Splat added a number of shows into the rotation that had not yet been seen on the previous block or had only been aired on special presentations, no longer airing them on a set weekly schedule. It lived up to that promise the first week by having so much. Then things fell apart again. After the first week, which not only marked the first time that several shows have aired on US television in years, in particular, it marked the first airing of You Can't Do That on Television since June 2004, the first airing of Welcome Freshmen since 1996, the first airing of the original Double Dare since the fall of 2004, and the first airing of Roundhouse since June 1999. On top of that, it also marked the first time You Can't Do That on Television, Roundhouse, Welcome Freshmen, As Told by Ginger, All Grown Up, and the original Double Dare had ever aired on Teen Nick. They copped out. They went back to the same standard formula that was used on the 90s Are All That, clinging to the Nicktoons for the most part. Except things were even worse. On April 1st, 2016, just minutes into a broadcast of Cat Dog, this happened.
Never gonna stick you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna frown on a clown.
No, your eyes are not fooling you. That happened. The Splat made a reference to Rickroll as an April Fool's Day prank. As if things couldn't possibly get any worse, during a broadcast of Doug, the channel's aspect ratio was rotated 90 degrees as another joke. And I put joke in quotes because it's not a joke. It's not a joke. What the hell? Who thinks this is funny? I don't, and other people don't. So why did they do it? Not only that, but they falsely advertised that they were going to air Pelswick, but instead they aired already aired episodes of The Wild Thornberrys.
They betrayed me, they didn't keep their promise, they tricked me and I don't care anymore.
So as if giving us not much improvement over the 90s Are All That isn't bad enough, as if running Rugrats Go Wild into the ground wasn't enough, this happens. Thanks a lot, jerks. Okay, seriously, what can we do to fix this? Honestly, Teen Nick needs to rebrand as a full-time Splat channel, rebrand it as the Splat full-time. If the Splat was its own channel, none of this would have happened, although that's probably up for debate considering how MTV Classic turned out. But hey, it would help. Teen Nick is a shell of its former self. All it airs is nothing but reruns of crappy live-action Nickelodeon shows. Rebranding it as a full-time 90s Nick channel could breathe new life into it and not restrict the block. That's really the best solution I feel would work. Could cut down on repetitiveness, fit a whole lot more stuff than a block ever could. But in the unlikely event, or likely, that they can't rebrand Teen Nick as a 90s Nick channel, I would suggest going back to the first week lineup. That gave us more variety than anything the 90s Are All That could have ever brought. Also, one last thing. Where the hell is the Secret World of Alex Mack? It aired on the 90s Are All That, so why hasn't it aired on the Splat? Fix that. That's all.